guys, welcome to another episode, actually our first episode of Under the Rug. I'm Tisha.
I'm Betsa.
And I'm Lita.
And today's topic is shotgun weddings. So we did put a few feels up throughout the week to get some feedback or some questions. And actually the most common question was, what is a shotgun wedding? And so I guess
Sorry, guys.
a little bit about what that was. Pretty much the Google definition and what we know it to be is a pretty much arranged marriage due to an unplanned pregnancy. Arranged/forced, because let's face it, some of the marriages
Of course.
Anywho, so the term shotgun wedding, I actually Googled it when we decided we're doing this as a topic. And back in the days, I'm not even lying, like 18. Yeah. So what would happen was if a girl got pregnant and she was not married, the father and whatever other men in the household, brothers, uncles, would go find the guy that impregnated her, would literally hold him at gunpoint with a shotgun and drag him to the altar and like force them to marry.
Really?
That's literally where the name comes from, shotgun wedding, because that's what happened.
Is it literal? I thought it was just like a whole, okay, I'm going to hold this gun to your head.
No. It was literal.
I didn't know that.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, surely it's just, but no, it was a literal thing. And then you know what? They would get married, like they would make them get married. And the guy would just go back and live his life, but never see the, like,
they just had to make it
married and then that's it.
To get married, they didn't really care if they stayed together or not.
What?
Yeah. So I think it was more so just so that the girl was not
a legitimate child.
But yeah.
So
crazy.
Interesting. I think a lot more for like religious groups, Christians, because obviously the belief is that's a sin if you have sex out of
absolutely still
wedlock. So a lot of things. But anyway, interesting.
Crazy, hey.
Well, fun fact.
Let's go. Fun facts. Lots of
fun fact. There is absolutely nothing about Polynesians. I could not. Seriously, there are no statistics that tell us how many Polynesians actually have shotgun weddings.
Well,
But what does that actually tell you?
It tells us that no one records it. It tells us that everyone really sweeps it under the
Correct. So that in itself is a statistic.
I know. It's just so sad. I'm just like, really? But one thing that I did find, well, it's not the only time I found it, but every time I tried to find something in relation to Polynesians or Pacific Islanders and shotgun weddings, there's this one thing that they kept saying, and it was all, let me just read it. It said, Christian teachings and the contact experience brought many changes, such as the introduction of marriage as a legal process. Okay, so then it says, wait, where is it? All right, let me read this again. Okay, so Christian teachings and the contact experience brought many changes, such as the introduction of marriage as a legal process, monogamy, the nuclear family model of mother, father, and children, and shame being attributed to children born out of wedlock. So a lot of it really was parents are prideful, and that is the reason why they force their children to get married. That's all I could really find on Google. But in terms of statistics, absolutely nothing.
Nada.
So that we'll just start with that for now.
All right, cool.
Do you think pride was the only reason? Like, I feel like as a parent, a lot of it maybe could have been pride, but is that not what you want for your kid at the end of that? Like, you don't want them to be alone raising a child, or especially for the girl's family, because it's a big responsibility. And it's also like, I just think that they would want them to do it together, or I don't even want to say punishment, but like, this is you want to have sex, or you want to have sex before marriage. This is now what you have to do.
I get you. I totally get what you mean, because, pride is a big part of it. But I don't think it's everything. There are I mean, okay, so if we, like the reasons for a parent, see, that's not even it. So, okay, let's start here. Is a shotgun wedding wrong?
It depends.
I think, to be honest, I think it's wrong in terms of taking away the choice from someone else. That's what's the wrong.
I agree.
Thing. Like not giving them the agency just to work through their mistakes. Well, not, you can't really say mistakes, like just to work through what happened instead of saying this is the forced solution, you know, giving them options. That would have been better, but I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
Fair
And but you know, there are a lot of marriages that have worked and a lot that haven't. Like the statistics that I did find, but this is based on African Americans, right? It said, it actually said that the rate is the same for shotgun weddings and weddings after weddings before a child's born. The succession of it all is basically the same.
So because we had quite a few people asking what is a shotgun wedding, is it really as common as we think it is?
It definitely was.
Do you think?
I think it is, but they just never gave it a term. They just said, "Oh, married out of wedlock." Like, you know, or no, this is what they would say. And you know what? This is the very honest truth. Like when people get married and they get married young, a lot of people would say, "Is she pregnant?" You know.
Well, why else would you get married young, right?
Why would they get married?
That's the whole mentality behind it. Is like, oh, what? She's only 19. Nah, she's definitely pregnant.
We literally just had a conversation today because one of our little cousins is getting married.
Correct.
And the first thing, and I'm not even gonna lie, the first thing I said was, "Why is she pregnant?"
That's pretty sad.
Have
we normalized it?
That is pretty. Yeah, that's pretty sad.
But okay, so like in all honesty though, I have found, and I've only discovered this when I've kind of become friends with people who are not of our faith, or who you know aren't the same, or you know don't go to the same church or whatever. But I've found that members of we get married pretty young compared to the norm.
Regardless,
I didn't know that.
Or not.
Okay. Oh, I knew that.
Yeah, pregnant or not. There was like,
100%.
those are the ones that get married at like 9, like straight out of school. And I was like,
you know why?
I knew that. Yeah.
So you can have sex.
Yeah.
Well, no, okay, not just so you can have sex.
Because they
like legally. You know,
out of wedlock. Well,
it's not even just that. It's because we are taught, right? We are taught that marriage is a very important thing. Like that's the central part of our church, you know, families. And so like we're all about getting married young or just whenever, as soon as possible, get married. It's not frowned upon to get married later, but they definitely do encourage. Once you hit 18, it's like, ooh, you're legally married, you know.
So let's come back to shotgun weddings. So let's talk about shotgun weddings and polys. So obviously it's not something that is restricted only to Polynesians. Like we're not the only ones that do it. As Betta said earlier, we don't even have any stats recorded, but we are Polynesians. And so this is what we know, or what we, you know, are aware of. So if it's happening in any other, you know, cultures and stuff, that's cool. But yeah, we only speak to what we know. Question. Actually, let me read. One of our viewers sent this in when we were doing a little bit of a call out about this episode. And he said that a good point of discussion would be the pressure on young poly couples to be married when they have a child out of wedlock, and the long-term implications for young couples who aren't ready for marriage.
Yeah.
So, two-part question. Let's talk about the pressure first. So the pressure obviously is a generational thing because, you know, A and B have decided to go and have sex out of marriage. They've now become pregnant, but it's not necessarily them that decide they want to get married. It is most commonly a parental figure or a mum or a dad who has said, look, you're pregnant now, go get married.
Yeah.
Or you have to get married.
Well, I feel like
because you're now pregnant.
I feel like even though, like in that, sorry, just going off that, like even though the parents do that, like I still think ultimately, for majority, they still decide whether they do or don't. And you know what's sad is that it's at least one of them is usually, okay, the girl is probably the one that's like, okay.
I think especially
like, if they're already in a relationship or if they love each other, I don't see why they would like, I mean, I don't think they think of the implications later. They just think, well, we're pregnant. Mum and dad are saying it. I love you. You love me. Like,
yeah,
we should. Like, do you know what I mean? But but just because you love someone and you're pregnant doesn't mean you're ready for marriage.
Well, I
think one of the key words here is young.
Yeah.
Young, Polly. So they feel that they don't have a voice because there's that whole, you know, honor your mum and dad.
Yeah.
So what they say goes. And when they're at an age that I guess, you know, still feels like, I mean, you're living under mum, dad's roof.
Yeah.
You know, so their rules apply, all that kind of thing. But that's where, because, you know, this is in no way saying that every single poly parent does this.
Yeah.
But like, because you've got one extreme, like, oh, hey, mum, I'm pregnant. Oh, cool, sweet. Let me go get everything ready. But then there's the someone parent that, you know, is just so ashamed. Who are you? I never taught you that. You know, how did this happen? What did I do wrong? All these kinds of things, which happen, you know, is common in a poly family. And it's the youngins, it's the ones that don't really have a voice. These are the ones I feel are probably being affected the most.
Well, see, because the thing is, for me, like when we were getting responses from people about shotgun weddings, you know, what they would say is the parents would say, well, if you could go and get pregnant and have a family, then you can get married. And a lot of those kids, like you said, they're young and some of them didn't even have jobs back then. You know, they didn't have the capacity to really take care of a family. But also when I hear some of the reasons as to why the parents tell them or really push and pressure the kids to get married, they say things like, well, you need to think about your child. Do you really want your child growing up without, you know, the father or without the mother? Like, you know, in their minds, they think what they're saying is the best thing for their children because that's what they were taught by their parents.
Yeah.
You know, and so when they say that, they're thinking that it's the right thing, but without realizing that they're not the ones that are going to be in the marriage. It's the husband and the wife or whatever.
Well, just going back to Jalita's question about the implications that it has on the future, I think, like you just said, that like just because they say that, you know, you're meant to be in a family, doesn't necessarily it's going to be the best choice for that family. Like you see nowadays, there's so many couples, I feel, I shouldn't say so many, but there are couples that feel like they've been trapped in a family, like, and they're unhappy, but they feel like it's the right thing to do because, you know, they have kids, or they think, oh, me being here for the kids, you know, I have to, that's my responsibility. Well, no, your responsibility is to raise your kids, like, you know what I mean? Like, to be happy, rather two parents living together who are miserable because they've been put together by, you know, a choice that pretty much wasn't theirs, or at a very young age, or parents deciding for themselves whether, okay, like, is it healthier that we just raise them separately, and having two happy parents living separately. But I think coming from like a Polynesian background, I don't think they ever had that choice growing up. Like as soon as they got pregnant, they got married, they raised their families, they didn't complain, well, probably not out loud anyway, and have not since then. Do you know what I mean? Like if we were really to ask our parents and aunties and uncles, like imagine the stories, or imagine the real conversations, like if you were given a chance. Do you know what I mean? But for them, they'd be like, what do you mean given a choice? We didn't have a choice.
What even is a
Bible
choice?
says this. You know what I mean? Like, because they're all very much for God, family.
Yeah.
right? It was never really about your own individual, like what you wanted or what you felt was best for you, but what would be best for them and the kids or everyone else, kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. I hear a lot of this whole, I just stayed for the kids. I stayed for the kids. Like even with a shotgun wedding, I stayed because of the baby, sort of thing. And I mean, valid point, you are definitely putting the kid before yourself or whatever. But I have always been of, the belief that you first, sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Like, you can't draw from an empty well.
No.
If you want your kid to be happy, you've got to be happy too.
Yeah.
And totally, the sacrifices that you make, they totally make sense. But if, they feed off everything. It's that whole, when you're in a plane and the mask drops and they specifically tell you, you got to put yours on first before you do your baby's, because you're of no use to your child if you're not even breathing.
Yeah. And that's literally,
like, it's just, and it's, I feel, okay, so I'm just going to give my little experience with shotgun weddings. For those of you who do not know, I am a product, or I was a shotgun wedding. I think, because it works, I'm going to say it works for some, it doesn't work for everybody. Obviously, in our case, it worked, but I feel like we already had, first of all,
where's your sign that says?
Look, so listen, my parents, they could not be more polar opposite. Like, my mom was a fire-breathing dragon. Rest in peace. I love you, Mom. My dad, he is like the most humble,
softest carrot,
quiet, the softest carrot in the world, the softest carrot. Like, makes me sick, soft carrot. And anyway, when I found out I was pregnant, out of wedlock, I had to tell them first. They were the first people that I was like, okay, I've got to tell them. They need to know. One, because they're my parents, but secondly, my dad was on the stake presidency, which is, a leader in the church.
Wow, girl.
All right.
That's why you're like, I better let him know.
I'm like, oh, not the stake president's daughter.
Always the stake.
But, and so for myself, growing up in the church and knowing, these callings that are bestowed upon people and all that kind of stuff, I was dreading it because I already knew people were going to talk. And I didn't give zero F's what people said about me, but what they said about mum and dad. And so when I told them, I had two totally opposite responses. Of course, my mum was like, you're getting married. There's no two ways about it. You're getting married. You're dirty. I hate you. Get out of my house, sort of thing. Typical just stuff, or, response. And then there's my dad, who's like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Who gave me the choice, who gave me the option. And then he backed that up with, I don't care what people say. I just want you to make this right. However that looks, or, whatever that looks like, that's on you. But, don't you worry about what people will say about me and mum. And this, I think that really helped my decision. We were ready for marriage anyway, so it was no biggie. Like, it was going to happen eventually. But just the fact that I was given a choice made it, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I don't know. It just really...
Peace, like at peace.
Yeah, that's it.
Make a peaceful decision.
I was at peace with my choice to get married. Because, I'm my mother's daughter. I could have been like, I'm not getting married. I don't want to get married. Yeah. But at that stage, I was ready for marriage. I was all good. So I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
Sorry, question.
Yeah, sure.
So was Fol ready?
He says he was.
Yeah.
Because I pitched it to him. So what happened was we sat down. So I told my mum and dad on my own that I was pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
And then Fol and I went and talked to mum and dad.
Mhm.
And mum and dad, you know, they obviously let him know what was going on and stuff, or, you know, what their expectations were. And then I said to him, we don't have to do this, but
Yeah.
if you want to, I'm down, you know, like, you know, we're sweet. And then the same thing happened when we spoke with his mum and dad, and then we all kind of came over, and I just had to make sure, I was like, we don't got to do this. We don't have to do this, you know, but if you're ready, because I was ready, if you're ready, then let's do it. Why wait?
Sorry, because Foles family were different religion, yes?
Yes, so they're not.
What was their response to this? Like to what your parents, because obviously your parents had gone off the bat news of getting married, but what was the conversation like with them? Was it similar
The same.
or the same?
Yeah, pretty much. But I think for them, and I could be wrong, but I feel like for them, it was out of respect for my dad's position in the church.
Oh,
Because they are, so they obviously, I need to stop hitting that, but they obviously are, they suggested the same thing.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, you know, you two, you know, oro whai lua ainga, go to your family, you know, that is the natural path, or, you know, the natural way to go. But then there was a lot of talk around, you know, your dad is,
Yeah.
yeah, this is what we need to do, sort of thing.
It's like they were trying to be really supportive, but at the same time they had that, like, we're thinking about your dad, we're thinking about all these people who are going to look at your dad. Like, it's just the craziest thing that people, like, even as much as they don't want to, but it's just so natural.
Well, and because in the Samoan culture especially, you know, if a kid stuffs up, you don't say, oh my gosh, what a stupid kid.
Yeah, like,
the first thing you say is, blah, blah, blah. Who are your parents?
Yeah, exactly.
Who is that kid? You know, where did that kid come from? That is the first thing. And
or
so
who's taught you, or like
right, exactly, like how,
teacher, right, or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's really sad. I guess that's like a whole different can of worms
conversation.
Of what we talk about, you know. But I mean, just going back to the whole shotgun weddings, like, you know, the question really, like the pressure that these kids have. I feel like all of them will have a choice at the end. Like you had two choices: get married or do whatever you feel is right for you. Because my sister was similar too, right? I honestly thought that she had the choice. Like I thought I heard them say to her, are you happy? Like, do you want to get married? Like, I remember them asking her husband, and he was saying, yeah, I am. I'm in love. But then when I asked her about it, because we're doing this topic, it was like a complete different, like her perspective of what happened or what went down was, so I was just saying her perspective of it, of what happened, you know, leading up to getting married was so different. It was like she felt forced. That's what she said that she actually said she didn't want to get married, and they said, well, if you can have a family, like if you can get pregnant, then you can get married. And I honestly didn't know that the whole time. I thought that they were given the choice. Like I thought I heard them ask, well, maybe they didn't ask my sister, but I heard them ask him if he was in love and if they wanted to get married. And I just want to go back with the implications in the future. I think that's the thing you really need to think about when you're making these decisions. Think about the future. Who cares? Like, I know we say it all the time, like, who cares about what everyone says? But you really have to just swallow your pride and swallow the pride of your parents and everyone else's comments and do what's best for you, because your children are going to be the ones that really they're the ones that suffer, and they're impacted so much worse. I'd rather you be separated parents, co-parenting, doing it right, happily, and supporting each other and being happy, even if you're with other people, but making the family work. It doesn't have to be just because you got pregnant to that person that's the person you have to be with. Because in the future it's going to be a lot of heartache, because you knew back then that's not what you wanted to do.
And that's the thing, that conversation coming up again, like later on, like how heartbreaking to hear someone say that about you. Like, for example, if you overheard your husband talking to his friends or his family saying, "Oh, you know, I only did it for the kids. I'm stuck."
I would die.
Like, for me, I'm like, you think you're stuck? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because they would obviously, you would feel that.
Yeah.
And you would just know, and that would just be heartbreaking in itself.
You know what? Even if you really wanted it, like if you loved them so badly, but if you know that he's not in it or she's not in it,
don't do it.
Don't do it, because you're the only one that's going to be hurt in the end, and your children.
And your children.
Correct.
Mostly your children. I cannot stress that out enough.
That's the thing. I think normal, like going back to Jolita's story, it's normal to just see straight away, as soon as she found out she was pregnant, the first thing she thought of was, my dad's the state president.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like status. It's like you think of everyone else first, but yourself.
But you know what? It's also because even our generation, we're like, that's the bishop's daughter. Or like, isn't that the Fefe'au's son? You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest, it's not just the older people. It's consumed our minds so much that it's become us too.
And that's it. We worry so much about how, like, Jolita's right. We don't think about really how it's going to affect us. We don't care, but we don't want our family to have to suffer for the choices we've made. Or, you know, like that's what goes in our minds. And that's why a lot of people make those decisions to do it, because it's like, you know, like, this is one thing that I can do to make them happy right now. Like, they're so disappointed in me, but if I do this, it'll kind of get them off my back, but also like make it right in their eyes and, you know, everyone else that's looking at them, kind of thing, for raising me the way that they did. Like, and that's sad. Like, how do we even begin to, because I don't know, I feel like it's embedded in us to think like that.
It's
huh?
It's just a human. It's the human in us. It's not just police.
No,
you know, we're the only ones that just don't put the statistics. We just don't record it. But it's just something that is natural, and we just really have to fight it all the time. Like, humility doesn't come naturally. Sorry, it doesn't come naturally. Like, you really have to work hard at it.
Pride comes so naturally, and humility.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
mine's natural as like it's.
See, right there. That's proof. But I think I just wanted to say, because some people that responded, they're like, "Yeah, I was in love." You know, I was in love, and like Jolita was saying, like, yeah, they're in love. That's the difference. You're in love, but are you ready?
Yeah, it's different. Very different.
Totally different.
But I mean, I feel like they just, like, you can make, like, you can, it's not to say you can't make it work, because you really can. Like, if you do love each other and you guys are putting in the same amount of effort, like, you can make a relationship work.
Absolutely. I think the crux of this is being given the choice.
Yeah.
So just trying to, I guess, wash out this whole, you are pregnant, you must get married. Yeah. The idea that, you know, that is the natural procession of a pregnancy out of wedlock is to get hitched, because that it definitely is not. It is not, I mean, and we might get killed for this, you know, because we are voicing our opinions on what we think. But, you know, if anyone listening in does feel at any stage that you are being forced to get married to anything, really, but in this instance, you know, to get married because you have become pregnant, that is not your only choice. In saying that, we are not by any way, shape or form, disclaimer kind of a bit later in the potty, but when in no way professionals. If there is anything that you wanted professional advice, I mean, we're professional talkers. That's about it.
Pretty good at talking.
But we are not qualified. So these are our opinions. These are our own personal thoughts. So don't quote us on, you know, oh, hey, but those guys said, I didn't have to get married. Just tell your mom and dad to come see. No.
See the number tell your mom and dad to give me a call and I'll tell them.
Well, tell your dad to call Tisha.
we're saying, we're talking to the people who are in that position, right?
Yeah.
So, you have the choice. That's what we're saying.
You do.
One thing I want to actually mention that we got from some of our viewers, or one of our viewers, and this could be something that we could be if we find out that someone is pregnant, and that's what they're thinking. So what they said was, I didn't like the pressure and feeling that I had no other options. I wish someone would have explained to me that it was okay to feel guilty for not making the best choice, but to never be ashamed, because guilt and shame are completely different things. I wish that my parents could have made that distinction too. So even if you know someone who is currently going through something like that, or if you ever come across it, maybe be that person that helps them understand the other options, because let's face it, when you're in front of your parents, all other options are blurred. Like all you know is what your parents are saying, and you take that for truth because they've been the ones that have been teaching you from the beginning. But if there is someone out there, and if you're a good friend, be a good friend this way and give them all the options and show them that you'll be supporting them all the way through.
Yeah. So we've got a message from, let me see, one of our viewers. Oh, well. Hold on a second. So marriage is, sorry. So one of the messages from our viewers is, marriage is a covenant between two people and God. I feel very strongly no one should be forced to make promises under no circumstances, especially if the two involved have no intention to keep those promises and are simply doing it to please a cultural tradition or parents. Pretty much what we've just spoken about.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Very much so. 100%.
100%. Se laupasinge.
Comment.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, yeah, it is true. It's a covenant that you're making with God. So but I think I like in what that person said, I like how they said if they have no intentions of keeping them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's heartache. Like, do you really want to go through family law? No, you don't. But it is a very hard, crushing process. So just save yourself the misery.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's just crazy because a lot of the things that people have shared with us, it's like it doesn't really just fall into this.
We got it. Let's go. Answer the phone. Speak up.
Yeah. Welcome to Follow.
Answer quickly.
Hello. Welcome to Under the Follow.
Speaker. That's 8 cousins. Wait, no, okay, let's go back. That's 8 cousins.
8.
That you can think of.
Yeah, Betty.
No.
That's insane.
That's 8 divorces. And that's more than 8 children now that's been impacted. And
that will have been impacted.
That's literally sad. I don't know what, I'm literally feel like I'm feeling very sad at that, and I don't even know these people.
Yeah,
right. It's just a number been thrown at us by one family, you know?
By one person, yeah.
One person.
That is honestly,
how many in your own family that you probably don't even know about, or but don't really know because they put on that face no, we're happy, we're together,
That makes me really sad. I obviously, even just talking to my own niece, she's had a really, really hard. I reckon people who are in the situation make the best choice for you, and if it means that you're gonna be a single parent, be the best parent.
Correct.
Not the best wife. Not the best. Try and be happy. Be the best parent.
Be the best parent first. Yeah. I love that.
In real life, not just on the gram.
Yeah.
In real life.
In person, guys. Let's just be good humans.
Yeah. Advice, let's go. Something before we finish off. I'll start, I guess. Choose you. Happy parent, happy, if you're happy, or
It'd be the best example for your kids.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I'm trying to say. Sheesh.
Yeah.
That's me from the bride to be.
Guys, let's make her a bride. Come on.
Can we make her a bride because she's got 2 sashes?
2. 2 colors.
For 2 marriages
that we know of.
Or the black. Okay.
My piece of advice that is very unprofessional, but I would say, no, I would honestly say just have the courage to do what's best for you. Like, don't just really maybe take some time to block out the world and your parents and everything and really make a decision for yourself, because at the end of the day, it's not just you, it's you and your child to be. That was what I would say.
Cool. My advice would be just don't have sex. Simple as that.
Use protection.
Not ready to have
Heroin. No, but I guess seriously, pretty much what these two have said. There's no rush in making this choice. Marriage is not your only choice. You do have options. You may not feel like it if your parents are anything like my mum. But I guess, even if they hate you now, if they see your happiness, hopefully that hate will subside when the baby comes, because that's when my mum started talking to me. Pretty much, yes. Do what's good for you. Do you think, okay, sorry, quick wind back, but do you think that a lot of the agreements to the shotgun weddings is because of the honor your mother and father, that your days may be long upon the land that the Lord thy God giveth thee?
No.
I think they're just scared.
It's fear.
They're just scared. They're using that as a plaster. Like they're using that
like
because I'm honoring my parents.
Well, I mean, there might be some. I'm not going to say there isn't, but I feel like there could be some. But at the end of the day,
fear of their parents.
Fear of
their parents, and fear, like for example, you, like how you thought about their status. Like you didn't think about yourself. You didn't care about what people would say about you. You cared about what people would say about your parents. And so a lot of, like, we love our parents. Like, that's the thing. It's like we love them so much that we don't want to bring shame upon them.
No.
So we think that, we also sometimes think that that's the best thing to do. I think for parents now, like, please understand make sure your kids know that there are choices, and just don't care about what other people are going to say about you. At the end of the day, your child's life is more important than the words of people who are just brushing by.
Who don't even matter.
Yeah.
Anyway, was that everything, guys? That you guys?
I think so.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our very first episode, or very first topic episode. We look forward to everything to come and more discussions, more interactions with you guys. You have our number, you have our Instagram. I mean, we're pretty much best friends now. So thank you again from us here at Under the Rug, and we'll see you on our next episode. Bye.